I did, in fact, watch movies the last couple of months. Here's a bunch of mini reviews for the stuff I watched. This movie is very good. I enjoyed it quite a bit. It's probably one of the best Spider Man movies, like the top 5 or something. But I don't know, I'm not ranking it. It had no chance to ever beat Spider Man, and Spider Man 3 wins on sheer enjoyability. It was very charming, with every old villain getting a bit of the spotlight. Obviously, the stand up performance was Willem Dafoe, because he's Willem Dafoe. Honestly, the next best was Andrew Garfield. When I saw this movie, I'd only seen him in the Amazing Spider Man movies. You'll hear plenty about those movies in the inevitable long video about Spider Man movies. But Andrew Garfield did a great job. And of course, since then I saw Eyes of Tammy Faye and Tick Tick Boom, and Andrew is fantastic in both. He is quickly becoming a favorite actor of mine. I really enjoyed the rapport that Peter, Neil, and MJ had in this movie. Made the conclusion extremely sad, even if you hadn't seen the other two films. I'm out on which of these three MCU Spider Man films is the best. It's a very touchy topic that I would like to avoid in this video, already full of very touchy topics. All in all, this was a very fun film, and Norman Osborn said that I have no station on the original Murder on the Orient Express. I haven't seen it. I went into this movie completely blind and with no context to the rest of the series. And as someone with no pre-existing opinions on these films, this was pretty bad. This movie is 2 hours long, and the first murder happens over an hour into the movie. To put it into perspective, Clue is a murder mystery parody, and it is a better mystery film and film altogether. The murder is one of the first things to happen in the movie. We only know one major thing about each character at that point, that they are being blackmailed by Mr. Body. Because the first murder happens over an hour into the movie, the next 40 to 50 minutes are so freaking rushed that you can hardly follow. The movie doesn't give you time to tie everything together before giving you the next clue, and the ultimate answer is beyond stupid. So this couple gets married and invites a bunch of people to the cruise. The first death is Gal Gadot. Everyone thinks it's the husband's old girlfriend who's been telling them everywhere. So the mystery ends, and it was the husband and the girlfriend the whole time. The man killed his wife for her money and was actually still in love with the girlfriend. So let me get this straight. The man killed his wife while the world's greatest detective was on board. Did he seriously think he could get away with that? Not to mention a bunch of other people. Why wouldn't you kill her someplace in, like, the woods or something, where no one would find the freaking body? Yeah, anyway, this movie was really stupid and boring, and I'm never watching it again. I also watched Turning Red. Full disclosure, I thought this movie was adorable. My only real problem with it was that some parts went a wee bit too extreme. Just took me out of the movie a little bit. Some scenes were so over the top that you just couldn't take them seriously. They were funny as crap, but I did not feel any of the emotional weight because they were just so out there. But I found that I enjoyed these characters. I've been loving these increasingly weird slice of life Pixar movies. I think that they need to keep doing them. I'd say this wasn't nearly as good as Luca, but it was still very entertaining. I don't have much to say other than go watch it. We need to support Pixar because Disney's being mean and not letting them show stuff in theaters. Hopefully that will change with Lightyear. The Adam Project was pretty good. Ryan Reynolds is, of course, still Ryan Reynolds, so he did a pretty good job. The kid is pretty cute and does a good job, so I do understand why he suddenly got a bunch of movie deals after this one. Zoe Saldana was there and also did a very nice job. This movie is very well paced. Maybe it was the fact that I watched this just after finishing Moon Knight, but I felt like this movie absolutely breezed past. There were a few times where I wished we could have slowed down and enjoyed these characters a little more, and the story wasn't that creative. It drew a lot from both Back to the Future and Star Wars. But to be honest, taking off a tally of a movie because it isn't creative doesn't even apply anymore.
You should be ashamed of yourselves, Disney. Anyway.
But all in all, a very entertaining and funny movie. Go watch it. This movie is so freaking good, you guys. This movie is not only a fantastic action movie, not only is it highly creative, not only does it make a complex and intricate story accessible for the general audience, but this film is one of the most emotional roller coasters I've been on all year. If you take anything out of this video, it's that movies like this are what need to be supported and that you should watch this movie. The acting was great. Data from Goonies having the best performance somehow. Yes, Ke Huy Quan came out of hiding and did this movie and got tears out of me. This movie was also freaking hilarious. Seriously, the point of the movie is that people do weird things to get superpowers. Kinda. And the weird things get funnier and funnier. The main theme of this movie is so sad and relevant, I think it will be able to connect with just about anyone in some way. The cinematography and fight choreography was so fun and creative and exciting and well done. Trying to say nothing about this movie because everyone should get a chance to go in completely blind like I did. As of right now, this is the best film I have seen this year. It's definitely going to make my top 10 list at the end of this year. Balloon Kite is a show that exists. I would probably not even like this show if it weren't for a very good performance from Oscar Isaac. He honestly saved this show for me. The biggest problem I had was the pacing. There are multiple times in the show where the plot intentionally takes these massive detours that could be written out. My main example is episode 3, the entire episode. It's a massive detour for something that literally doesn't need to exist. You could pretty much go straight from episode 2 to episode 4. You'd maybe have to rework a couple things, but you basically can. This show feels like it could have been trimmed down to at least 30-minute episodes, but I feel like you could get it down to a 2.5-hour movie. Another thing that dragged this series down for me was the TV-14 rating. The first episode promises lots of gore and violence, and then we get some classic Marvel bouncing around and cutting away. When you see an Egyptian burial guy about to rip someone's heart out, you want to see them rip their heart out, not a cutaway and a squelch. I think this could have been good if it were an R-rated movie, but as is, it is a show that exists. Finally, I watched Doctor Strange 2. It was pretty good. I thought it was quite creative with some nice cinematography. The fight choreography, for the most part, was very interesting and unique. I say for the most part because there are points where it looks like a very standard Marvel movie, and there are times where you can tell that Sam Raimi very much made this part of the movie. Especially the final act. Very much feels like a Sam Raimi-esque thing. The original score from Danny Elfman was very entertaining, and I loved how close this movie bordered on being R. The gore and violence were so much fun to watch. Moon Knight, take notes. I would say my main problem with the film was the emotional beats. They just didn't work for me. In Strange's case, I think they gave him the wrong arc. Instead of coming to terms with a character that hasn't been in the MCU for 6 years getting married, he should have had to overcome the fact that Wong became the Sorcerer Supreme. It would have connected way closer to his pre-established character flaw that Strange got in the original film. That is, ego is his downfall. You even kind of see little sparks of it in Spider-Man. I also think that Wanda's arc in this movie was basically the same as in WandaVision. I know it sounds like I'm kind of trashing this movie, but I'm actually glad that at least Wanda's arc was the way it was, because it did lead to some genuinely good scenes. Overall, this is a pretty darn good movie. Also, Captain Carter said that. So that was what I watched this spring in between the DC videos. I would say that this spring has generally good movies, but then again, I specifically did not watch Morbius, Uncharted, or Ambulance. So you don't have to tell me I missed Morbius. I don't want to watch that. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm currently watching all the James Bond movies to make my next long video. I'm also watching Stranger Things 4. At this point, I am enjoying it, but don't expect a review until after the entire season is out. So probably the second week of July. If there are any movies you want to see a video on, I can pretty much promise I will make it since I don't get very many comments on videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.